Sorry, I'm just setting up this stream and posting it on Twitter. And we'll just wait a couple more minutes and then I'll go ahead and start opening the box. If you have any requests for any mice or mouse pads you want me to look at, just go ahead and pop that there in the chat. I have just about everything that's come out, minus a few. How's everyone's Saturday so far? What's the most controlled glass pad that I've tried? Eh, I have the Glaze mouse pad on the way. I've heard that's a very controlled pad. It's for some reason just stuck in Chicago. But as far as the ones that I've tried, I would probably say the Game Sense. I forget what the name of it is, but the glass pad that Game Sense put out to me feels the most controlled. I can get that out later. It's just my glass pads are kind of buried from my recent move. It's all in a box. Most of my, all of my cloth pads are freely available. Hey there, yeah, just relaxing on my Saturday. Just that I do a live stream, which I almost never do. So cool mode. Hey, how's it going? I appreciate that. I'll probably do another stream in a couple days. I have the VXE, which is VGN. I have all four of their new Dragonfly R1 series mice coming in a couple days. They're all in California right now. They just cleared customs, so being transferred to the post office, it'll take about 2 3 days to get here. But I'm really excited about checking out those new mice. Uh, I've heard so far from people in in China who've tested them out that they're a step above the regular F1 Dragonfly mice. Better switches, better quality construction. But I'll be interested to check those out. Uh, this is the Keychron M4 4K, and I know a lot of people are saying that this thing is too heavy at 38 grams. It's supposed to be 35, and if you have a black unit, it probably is 35. Just the UV coating on the white mice always adds a couple grams to the weight, and there's always a little bit of variation. But I actually find this mouse at this weight, it feels really light to me, and it gives just a good amount of control. The other G Wolves fingertip mouse that I found is wider than this, but I have an easier time controlling this. But it did take a little while to get used to because it's tiny. But once I figured out the grip for this mouse, it is probably the best aiming mouse that I have. The only problem have is on fast tracking. Occasionally, the mouse will actually just kind of I'll lose control of it, and I'll actually lose the mouse. But I'm getting a little bit better at it. I think it's a mouse you got to put some time into it. But as far as like the plastic quality, which has always been a problem with the Keychron mice, they're plastic ones at least. Um, their magnesium ones are actually pretty good. They've only got one at the moment, but I'm hoping that they make a magnesium version of this because this is actually a pretty cool mouse. The black plastic, though, on the other Keychron mice is probably the worst plastic I've ever felt. But the UV coating on this white version makes it tolerable. It's not bad, actually. Looks like the Samara 94 crafted mice and me developed 2 years ago. Oh, you're. I hope to get it next week. So you ordered one? I'll go ahead and open up the final mouse here once we get one more viewer in here. Make it an even five. Oh yeah, the shipping for a Keychron to the U.S. is actually faster than most. It only takes like 3 days typically, and it was $10. Did they charge you $10 to the EU? Yeah, that 2 weeks. That's pretty typical for what I get shipping wise when I order from AliExpress. But typically, most of the time, the shipping's free or it's just a couple dollars. All right. Well, I think I've waited long enough. I'm going to go ahead and open up the final mouse. Hopefully, I get a decent copy. This is I pre-ordered it when everyone else did, and I was unlucky not to get the from the first set. Um, but this is from their second batch of the first order. But maybe I'll get lucky and get a decent one. So maybe it was good that I had to wait. Not my favorite cable, that's for sure. It's kind of really stiff. You'd think that they wouldn't cheap out on the cable for this amount of money. Well, don't really feel any side flex. There's a little bit on the top. I still hate the fact that they use those colored cables. I don't know why they just can't make them black or cover it up with a little bit of electric tape or something. I know it add a little bit to the weight, but it just seems really cheesy. The stock skeeps seem okay. Don't really like the side buttons. They not very clicky. Scroll wheel's okay. So far, I don't see any visual defects either. So it's pretty light and balanced. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end up liking this mouse. Think I got a decent copy so far. Think I like the slightly different shape of the WL Beast X mouse though, which is more like the Vancer Grexa, which my copy's pretty beat up though. My youngest daughter uh, was always stealing this mouse, so I'd always end up finding it in her toy box. And the other magnesium mice I have are, of course, the Starlight 12, the tens edition. And this is the Keychron, I think it's the M3. Yeah, M3. It's a 4K magnesium mouse. It is like 60 grams, so it's kind of heavy, but it's a one of the most solid built magnesium mice, and it has solid sides, which you don't see very often on magnesium mice, which I really like. I don't mind the extra weight. It's nice and smooth, and it has the same coating as the deluxe magnesium mouse. It looks like it's built by the same manufacturer, which I'm sure it is. Also, a very solid mouse, and also is partially solid on the side. Towards the back, they have this hole, which feels a little weird. As you can see on the Keychron mouse, it's just solid all the way across. And I would have rather have them done that with this deluxe mouse. The scroll wheel looks a little nicer. But these are actually both surprisingly solid mice. And you also, if you look, it's hard to tell, but they covered up the internals with like some sort of plastic shroud, Only the battery is covered on the deluxe mouse, but on the Keychron mouse, the whole PCB is covered, so it's better protected. And I'm sure that's why it's 60 grams, because I'm sure that thing right there is at least 3 to 5 grams. But it is a tank of a mouse. It's just probably the most solid mouse that I have. And of course, the Stormbreaker, which is probably my favorite Argo mouse. Um, there's some other good ones, of course, but I just like the feel of magnesium, how it keeps your hand cool. I think it's an underrated mouse. The new colorway from Nacho is really nice looking. I probably would have got that if I didn't already have this one, but nothing different other than the color. Of course, I have the Pulsar, the new ES version of the X-Lite V3. I don't have the regular edition. They're supposed to be sending it to me, and I think I like the regular one because I have a pre-release version of the V3, and I like that one better than this just because of it's a bit lighter. Even though this feels super premium, I just prefer the little bit lighter version of it. And I've had this for a while, and this is the OGM Pro from Wise Owl. And the only reason I brought this out is I do have the new Cloud mouse that they're sending me. It's supposedly already on the way, so could be at my door anytime. And I guess that's a clone of the SteelSeries Sensi, which I never used that mouse, but my oldest son actually is a big fan of that mouse, so he might be wanting to steal that from me. Oh yeah, sorry. Dare you? Yeah, dare you. I Yeah, I always mix dare you and deluxe up. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to talk about is this mouse right here. Um, it's like the Thunderbot ML903, and I have like two other versions of it, and this is kind of a forgettable mouse. But one of the really cool things about this mouse, this is the NearLink version, and uh, this uses a different wireless technology than all of these other mice. Um, Unfortunately, it may never make its way to the United States because the company that made it is on a ban list. I'm not even sure I'm supposed to even have this, but I didn't buy it. It was just sent to me. But basically, this little dongle right here works at a higher frequency than 2.4. It works at 4. And it allows you to do 4K polling. And I believe eventually it's going to do 8K polling with just this tiny dongle. No need for a big one like this in order to get 4K. And I believe it's also going to be uh, it's cheaper overall too, so it'll allow 4K adoption for other mice. It just may be mice outside the United States, but just because you're watching this, you may not necessarily be from the United States, so this may be something that's worth looking into. And I know that speaking to other companies, they are looking into making NearLink versions of it. And I will say it also reduces battery life quite a bit. I haven't graphed it out, but it definitely sips 4K usage. So you get 4K with less battery usage, and it also just feels a little smoother to me because of the more bandwidth that it has. Now I don't know if that's just placebo, and the mouse itself is, I don't like the shape, I don't like the feel of the plastic, It's just the first one I've been able to get my hands on that has NearLink. I'm hoping to get a better mouse with NearLink in the near future. Like I said, I've talked to a bunch of them and they're looking into it. And I don't know if there'll be like NearLink versions of mice where those mice are sold in the United States. They're not sold in the United States and they're only sold outside the United States. And maybe you'll be able to purchase it outside the United States and import it and get lucky to get through customs. I'm not sure. Yes, 1/8 battery usage. I would say that so far that's close to accurate. I would say it's at least a third less. Placebo link, yeah. Well, the battery usage is not a placebo. So, if what's cool about it is you can mod your mouse or just keep using a smaller and smaller battery, and you get some weight saving. So it'll allow mice to get even lighter using the NearLink. Oh, the reason that why is um, NearLink not allowed to be sold in the United States? I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of the company, but it's a Chinese company, Hawaii. I know I'm mispronouncing it, but they I don't know, like 10 years ago or more, they used to produce phones and they were producing chips specifically going in a lot of equipment that was going into data centers and also into U.S. military installations. And there was backdoors and other spying abilities that were put into those chips uh, that the Chinese government was utilizing, or at least allegedly. I, that's what they say. And so they were blacklisted. And they're the ones that have developed this technology, and it is signed off. It's basically being supported by 300 companies outside the United States. Companies like Lenovo, for example. So, I mean, they have a lot of big names behind it. It's just, I don't know if they're going to make an exception for this technology because besides mice, this basically is a much better Bluetooth. So it can, you can connect 10 times the amount of devices to it. So Neuralink instead of a car, for example, will be a very useful device. Uh, just in general computing, Neuralink is far superior to Bluetooth. So maybe Bluetooth will have a future version that'll compete with this. But as it stands, this thing could be in a ton of different devices if it was allowed. Yeah, I would be skeptical that it's going to be allowed in the EU. It's probably just going to be allowed in most Asian countries and maybe South America and Africa, Middle East, I'm guessing. If it won't get you out of bronze, yeah, I don't know if it's going to get you out of bronze, but it'll keep you from having to charge your mouse as often, I suppose. And if it brings down the price on mice, say $10, which is what I'm guessing it probably does, that's a positive. And also weight reduction. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe you can write a letter to your senator about allowing Neuralink in, make an exception for it. But for all I know, um, there's some stuff in this that monitors too, but it'd be have to be pretty damn small. Oh, the M4 against the ULX. Okay. My ULX copy. Well, the only thing I'm not crazy about is the side buttons, but flex wise, I don't have any flex issues. QC wise, I would say it's a perfect copy. No rattles or anything. It's a. I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy using it. But yeah, I think it was good that I ended up having to wait to get this because it definitely feels tightened up. I don't have any issues with it now. Maybe it'll develop some issues after use. I've heard of that happening, but um, I just basically opened it, so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, the sideways sensor. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't even notice it until somebody pointed it out. But as far as the way like it performs, I don't haven't noticed any difference in the way that it feels. It just takes some time getting used to. Even the scroll wheel is tiny. It's a and the position of the side button sometimes that throws me off, but that's kind of the way on all these little tiny fingertip mice. It's hard to hit those side buttons, but so far this one's been the best for me. But I don't mind the weight. I think it helps control my shots. Yeah, this I think this would be a really good sniper if you like to snipe a lot because I feel the most accurate with this mouse. It's just on the tracking sometimes it slips on my hand because of the maybe if I had smaller hands it'd be better. Yeah, yeah, I don't have any faith in any of our legislatures when it comes to tech. Uh, they've uh, they've constantly disappointed me. Um, I also got this recently. This is the Dharma Shark N3. I think it's basically the 2K version. There is a 4K Pro version of this. Now, if you tried the N3 and you thought that it was poor quality, it well it was the it creaked a lot and the side buttons were terrible. This is a vast improvement from the original N3, and it doesn't have a Nordic MCU, but it does do 2K if you have the 2K dongle. And I think even if you have the original N3, you can get that 2K dongle to work with those versions. But the quality of this mouse is vast improvement. I think working with Lethal on their mice has caused their quality to be quite a bit better, which kind of is what happened to Iron Cat when they used to work with Ponage, which I think a lot of people know that they used to make mice for Ponage, but I've spoken with them and they practically had to send people over there to the factory to make sure that they would do it right. And their mice have gotten better because they've learned from working with them, even though they don't work with them anymore. But I think Dharma Shark working with Lethal has definitely upped their quality. And I'm definitely interested in trying the 4K Pro version of this mouse because it's a real slight ergonomic mouse. It just has a slight curve to it. The front feels like an ambi mouse, and then it's just a unique shape. I don't know of any other shape that's like it, and it's one that I enjoy. So this was like I think $34. So uh, on AliExpress. So it's the color scheme I think looks really good, all green. But they have it in other colors. Um, for some reason, Lethal sent me. Uh, this was the I just asked for the copy that I'd order, and I got this I don't know a month ago, and real good copy. I don't have any of the flex issues they were talking about, and for some reason they're sending me another one, so I might give that one away. And then the Z1 Pro, if you have this mouse and you've been waiting on the 4K dongle, it is out, and this is probably the best egg shape mouse that I've tried. It's also one of the best build quality wise of any Chinese mouse. It just sucked that it's taken like, I don't know how long it's been. It's like almost 6 months, I think, to get the 4K dongle. But if you want it, you can get it. It's I know it's on MetKeys. You can probably find it on AliExpress too. Uh, I've been using the Lamzu, and I know there's a lot of kind of meh about this mouse, and a lot of people not liking it. But I think if you have bigger hands, I think is the problem. Uh, it doesn't really work that great. But for me, I kind of like this a lot. I think I prefer it slightly more than the Lamzu Mini. I'm not just crazy about the all red. I wish they would like break it up and like mix it with like a black scroll wheel, black side buttons, a little bit of, I don't like it when it's all one color. It's kind of boring. That's true. Lemon. Most mice are really good. There's they've just come a long ways in terms of quality and what you get for the. I mean, just a even a $50 mouse. Um, the difference between that and $150 mouse is pretty small. Case in point, the Mischo. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce this one, but um, this mouse right here is like $50 and it's 4K. It's basically um, a GPX Mini and super good quality. The only thing is the skates kind of suck, but I'm waiting for some third party skates. I'm sure there will be, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. But like, really, this mouse is my favorite budget mouse right now, and it's hard to beat it. I mean, it's hard to justify spending more than that, um, unless you like the feel of like a metal mouse. And then something like the Beast X is a really good mouse for the money. Or even the Keychron mouse is only $99, and the Daryu mouse, I've seen it as low as 80, sometimes on sale. So you don't have to pay a whole bunch for a magnesium mouse if you want to wait. Yeah, that's true. It is hard to buy a bad mouse, and I feel the same way about mouse pads. There's so many good high quality mouse pads, and a lot of them really just aren't that different from each other. Um, for me, the only mouse pad that I felt that I tried this year that was like vastly different than anything else was the Neutron, and especially if you try it with the skates. I forget what they're called. But there's a certain kind of skate you're supposed to use with it. It causes static friction, and it just like your mouse just sticks like glue to the pad. And it was actually designed for people with disabilities or people that have like really shaky hands, that have a hard time keeping a steady aim. So the owner of the company is a disabled gamer, so it's a very interesting pad. And even though I don't really have shaky aim, I find the pad feels really nice and I enjoy using it. All of their pads, though, I'm trying to remember the name. It's like Quaitar or something like that. I like all of their pads. They're all pretty nice, and they're not too expensive. They're not going to break the bank. I also am really enjoying the new Fantech mouse, the Helios 2. Um, I like this color scheme with the black and the yellow, as opposed to a lot of people got the gray version, and I think this one looks a lot nicer. The skates that it comes out of the box too are really nice. Um, they feel like core pads or something. I think they are actually. I think that's what Josh said. So right out of the box for $85, it has everything you could want. Uh, if you like the S2 shape. This is the new Fantech Strike Pad Pro, and if you use the Wuxin 2, it's pretty much a similar pad. However, I do think it's a little bit better version of it. And it's, if you like speed pads, you know, it feels really nice. Now, I don't know if it's going to wear down like those other pads do. Um, Josh said that it's supposed to last longer, but it's, I don't think it's, I think it's $30 too, but I'm not 100% sure. But um, it's a nice pad, and Fantech usually makes pretty solid options for the money. If anybody wants me to show them anything, any pads or any mice, let me know in the chat. Thanks for stopping by. By the way, this is a new desk and a new house, so all new setup. I got some new lighting and everything, so I will be doing some videos real soon. I think I'll even try and do one tonight. And it's been, I've had a bunch of big changes in my life recently, and hopefully everything's stabilized and I can get back to creating video content instead of just posting on Twitter, which I never really stopped doing that. But I have a bunch of stuff coming, and tons of stuff that I probably should have covered, but I'll probably do a bunch of roundups, and I have a end of the year video coming, and I think I have a little excerpt that's going to go on one or two other people's end of the year videos too. So I guess be on the lookout for that. And I have a couple more giveaways I'm going to be doing. Yeah, the move really sucked. I do not like moving, and I had been in that place for 8 years, so I had accumulated a lot of crap, and I had gotten a divorce, so all the stuff had to be split up. I still have the Nana. What's the Nana? Not sure what that is. Well, the positive about moving is in my old place, even though it was a bigger place, I just had the corner of a kitchen, So where you used to see all the boxes that were right here, that was to cover up my Samsung refrigerator. So I have a two-bedroom duplex all to myself. So I have like rooms upstairs that are completely empty. So I got lots of places I can film now. This desk too is like um, 71 inches long, whereas my old one I think was 47. So I got a lot more desk space now. Oh, yes, that pad. Uh, yeah, that pad is kind of disturbing. I would not have agreed to review that pad if they had sent it to me. Um, the pad itself is fine. It's just the art is just a little too wackadoodle for me, and I really don't want to be posting it. I think that they made a different version where it just shows like a knife, and I would be okay with reviewing that one. But the other one, I don't even want to give it away. It's just like hiding in a box. I think I'm going to stick a note on it that says, "I do not approve of this," in case I die and somebody sees it and thinks that it was like my something that I liked. The clicks on the clicks on the ULX are super light. Um, if you're a fan of light clicks, then yes, I think you'll like that. I like a little bit heavier click, um, but I mean they're okay. Like the clicks on the arm-ons on the Stormbreaker, these are like my probably my favorite clicks. Uh, and watch out for Stormbreak Ponage because they are working on another shape, and I think it's a shape a lot of you are gonna like, and that's probably the potentially going to be one of my favorite mice of next year is that new shape, especially if it has those clicks. Uh, there's a bunch of really cool projects that are in the work for next year, but I think we are kind of like in the point of diminishing returns. This is kind of the golden age of gaming mice. I think we'll see some NearLink type technologies for the American market, and there'll be a lot of hype about that. And the main thing that's going to improve is battery life, which is a legitimate something that you can hang your hat on, and that I would love to see because some of these mice when you're using them in 4K, they drain super fast, uh, and if you want to use 8K eventually, that's going to even be worse. So having something that uses a lot less power at 8K. I think I've even heard someone's in the process of developing 16K, which I also believe every time you go up, there's much, it's even more diminishing returns. So that's going to be mostly marketing speak. But to me, 2K is definitely, I think, the sweet spot currently. And I think you can tell a difference. It's just, I don't know if it gives a difference in performance, but if you actually use a camera and you can actually see, you adjust the speed, you can actually see that is updating more. It does create a smoother experience. Uh, that's more of a feel. I don't know if it actually translates to more kills, but uh, I find that I usually use 4K because I find it just a little bit more enjoyable. So you did order the knife one, yeah. That one's okay. I'm okay with it. It wouldn't be my first choice, but the pad itself it's pretty decent. I trying to remember what it was like. It might have been like the Energon, but I'd have to pull it out and look at it. I really don't want to do that. I only messed with it for about an hour. But if you're in the Austin area uh, and you want it, you can message me and I'll give it to you. A couple other mice that I was pleasantly surprised with were the two new Glorious mice. Now, I'm really like the O2 Pro. It's actually a surprisingly good mouse. The implementation of the 4K is really good on this mouse. Now, this is a little bit too big for me, so I'm hoping that they come out with a Model O minus. I might actually check it out. Now, I do think this is overpriced. I think it should only be like $9,500. I paid way too much for these, but they're surprisingly good for Glorious. Uh, this Wise Owl pad, this is similar to the Energon, but I feel like it's a little better quality. Like it feels like it might hold up a little bit better. It's also I like the design on it. Yeah, Glorious is a company that is run like a traditional tech company. They're they're out of a size like they have like a real PR department. So when you like talk to them, you're talking to um, like PR professionals that actually that's what they went to school for, and you could tell they don't know nothing about the products that they're actually working with or know very little. So when you talk with them, they only understand like numbers on social media and everything. They have no clue what they're doing, which is what a lot of like traditional tech companies are. So it's really difficult to get anything with them. Like they actually have an office here in Austin, and I asked if I could come by, and they wouldn't even. Nope, they wouldn't even consider that, which is weird to me. Um, wasn't big enough, but it's not going to cost you anything. I just was going to come by and just chat, give it get a tour or something. But nope. Yeah, you can go over to Space Cables. Those guys are really nice. They're in Austin. Uh, Super nice people to work with. Their products are pretty high end though and expensive, but they have a really nice big warehouse here. Those 4114 guys actually are using their warehouse to um, ship out all their pads. Um, when they came and dropped off that 4114 Aero pad to me, they just come from. They said they come from the warehouse and they were in South Austin. And I said, "Oh, you must have been talking about Space Cables because they were just right around the corner from my house." They're like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" It's like, "Well, there's not that many type of companies like that have big warehouses um, that are in the peripheral market here in Austin." But I'd like to see more uh, move here, and actually, there are a couple companies that have talked about moving here. I can't really talk about that, but there are some possible Chinese companies that are talking about relocating here, opening offices. Yeah, the Glorious staff themselves are are probably okay, but like their PR department, it's just like it would be like asking a reservationist at a restaurant, questions about um, how a dish is prepared or something. They're not back in the kitchen; they don't know. They just take reservations. So whereas a lot of these smaller companies they can't afford to hire real PR people, so they do their own PR. And so when you come to them and talk to them about the products or who you are, they usually know who you are, and they're more willing to work with smaller creators, where these larger companies that use traditional PR people, they don't give you a chance unless you're really big. So they don't. I used to deal with a lot of those people back in the 90s when I ran a web publication, and I would go to conventions like E3, and they always had those types. But once you kind of know how to talk their speak, I've learned little tricks on knowing what to say to those people. So, but for I think for most people that don't know how to deal with, legit PR people, I can understand why it's difficult, because there's some creators that are like 100 times the size of me that haven't been able to get something from some of those people, and then I was able to do it. It's only because I know what they want to hear, and I just tell them what they want to hear. So, and it's only because I've been doing it for a long time. Uh, Even in my job, I work with these companies, and I just it's just your job to help them become a bigger company, and so you kind of have to know what to say. So, you guys got all your Christmas shopping done? I still have to do mine. I don't think I've done anything. Unfortunately, all the people that I have to buy gifts for, they're not really first-person shooter gamers, because I'd have lots of things to give out in that case. It's mostly female, so lots of fuzzy things and bath salts. Uh, Next year, though, I may be coming into some money, and I plan on doing a pretty big upgrade. Like, I want a new display, and build another computer, get some better lenses for my camera, maybe an additional camera, some better mounts. But I'm definitely looking forward to doing some upgrades next year. Unfortunately, the new Intel CPU, sorry, seems like they're having a lot of issues with it, which is why we have this 14th gen, which is basically just a rebranded 13th gen, other than the i7, which they added some cores, which is a pretty decent deal. Um, I do think AMD is a better buy when it comes to performance, but from my experience out in the field and having to do RMAs, AMD still has a lot more compatibility issues, and still has a lot more failures, like outright failures on the CPU. Sometimes it affects like the memory channels, where you can only use half of the memory DIMM slots, and it's not the board itself, it's actually the CPU. So when you're doing like content creation, I'll probably stick with Intel, even though I'm glad AMD's there to help push Intel, because the market would really suck if it was just one company. And it's always better when there's more competition. Same way with GPUs. That's why I'm all for Intel getting better at their discrete GPUs, because it was such a more fun and interesting marketplace when there was like 14 different graphic card makers, and I don't just mean for the cards. I'm talking about the chips themselves. And if you had told me way back then that ATI, which is purchased by AMD, would be like the number two next to Nvidia back then, I would have thought you were crazy because ATI just was terrible. They had the worst drivers, the performance sucked, and it's just that they're really good at bribing people at the OEMs. I think they like must have bought them vacations and everything because ATI always ended up in all the big OEMs, but they just just sucked. They were just horrible, 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 horrible. There's much better graphic cards out there that would have been better off if they had survived as opposed to ATI. You don't even have to go far. Like Matrox in Canada was a much better company than ATI. I think they're still around. They just don't develop 3D. They just specialize in video editing equipment. Um, Rendition was a really cool company that was sadly went away. Power VR, I think, is still around. I think they do some stuff in the mobile market, and they had some weird tech, but never really, never really took off. And it was Real 3D. They weren't that great. Then there was Glaze 3D, which was vaporware. We never really saw. It was it never really made the light of day, but it was supposed to be this really amazing thing that was going to blow everything out of the water, but it never really happened. And I definitely miss 3D effects. Those guys were the original reason that we even have home 3D graphics. If it wasn't for them, there wouldn't have we wouldn't have had Nvidia and all of the stuff that we enjoy today. Well, if there's any last requests that you want to see something before I end the stream, go ahead and ask it now. Like I said, I have just about everything. I'm only missing a few things. Like I don't have the Razer Viper special edition, mini special edition. I just refused to pay $300, and um, Razer didn't want to send me one, which is understandable. And then I haven't gotten any of the new Zowie mice, and I'm missing some of the Vaxi mice, but they're also pretty stingy when it comes to sending out samples. And I can only buy so many. Oh yeah, I've heard so many people tell me that they regret going AMD. Um, and it's not the performance; it's just you get a lot of blue screens and crashes and just a lot of weird incompatibilities. Oh hey, how's it going? I'm just chilling on a Saturday. Thought I'd do a rare stream. Got my ULX and it's no problems. Just the clicks are a little lighter than I like, but build quality wise, I got a perfect copy. Yeah, Intel just works. I agree. This 14th gen, massive disappointment, but I mean, just think of it as the 13th gen, really, which it's fine. Oh yeah, thanks. Took me a while to put it together. I got a few more things I want to do, but yeah, I should be doing some filming tonight, hopefully. I also, in this time, got a girlfriend, so um, hopefully she's not listening, but she's definitely been a time sink too, but in a good way. And she's an attorney, so um, I don't have to pay for dinner very often, so that part's nice. As you get older, I definitely recommend the sugar mama route, especially if you find one that's actually nice and you get along with. Because the one thing I've learned is women can cost you a lot of money. Well, the one thing that I found is you kind of have to look in the 40s because that's kind of when women decide, especially the career women, they've decided they've been so focused on their career that they're like they start to regret that they didn't settle down, and so that's usually the age that you're gonna find them where they're looking for, the person they want to spend the rest of their life with. So if if you don't mind women, I'm 50, so my girlfriend's 43, so she's still younger than me, but um, she makes 3 times as much money as me, and honestly, I wouldn't mind. I think it would have bothered me when I was younger, but it doesn't bother me now. I tell you that it doesn't bother me at all. And there is a lot, by the there's a lot of like 40 plus women that have successful careers that are looking. So if you've sowed all your oats, that's where you want to look. Now, I wouldn't recommend though, just picking someone just for that reason only. But like my girlfriend, she's probably the nicest person I've ever met. So um, crazy is not good. Crazy, usually sexy and crazy go hand in hand. Um, yeah, someone who's kind and doesn't manipulate is what you want, and also doesn't mind your hobby, which I had to be kind of upfront because when someone comes over and they see piles of mice and mouse pads, um, the typical response is they got to go. So you have to find someone that is good with your hobbies. So, and the crazy thing is, my girlfriend is like way more into sports than I am. I like football, but she likes all sports. She's like a sports freak, which is crazy to me. So, I can watch football and not get yelled at for it, and I can uh, have my hobbies and play my games. And she doesn't like that stuff, but she lets me do it. So she's not needy because she's got her own career where she's busy. So you just got to carve out a little bit of time, and you're good to go. I'm glad you got over the crazy part because, um, yeah, long term, it's not good for you. I mean, I got a few good kids out of it, so it, I wouldn't change it. But I'm just hoping, like one of my sons is about to turn 28, which is older than most of my viewers. Um, Luckily, he's more interested in his career than like settling down. So I don't want to become a grandfather because then that'll get out and that'll, yeah. I'm already the old guy. Then I'll be the real old guy. But, you know, uh, I'd like to see, these other people when they get to 50, if they can still hang uh, playing these games. Because, I mean, there's a difference, but for the most part, uh, I usually end up, at the top of the leaderboard when I play still. I'm not I'm not as good as a lot of the other people, but if I had all of this stuff when I was 20, I was a lot better. But I didn't really play. They didn't really have like first person shooters when I was 18 and 20 years old. It was like at the arcade, you know. I go to the arcade with a couple quarters and I could stay there for a couple hours, and people get mad at me. Uh, One dude tried to beat me up because uh, I can't remember what, I think it was like 1943 or something. I told him, I said, after this quarter, you can have it. But then it was like 30 minutes later, he started like punching me because I wouldn't die. I used to also be able to go and beat Space Ace and Dragon's Lair with one, I think it was like 75 cents or 50 cents. But I could beat the whole game with just one set of quarters. The way I was able to do that is I bought that on my Amiga and I memorized the all the different moves. It's just really memorization. You go this way or that way at the right time, and you can get to the game. I used to bet people money that didn't know that I could do that, and I never lost. And those games are like hard. Like I've gone back and played some of them on my classic consoles or some of my emulators, and I forgot how hard those old games are. They're like way harder than games today. There was no aim assist and your controls sucked, so you had to like battle the controller, and you only had like one or two buttons if you were lucky. Oh, hey there. Yeah, I used to legit get blisters on my hand from using the old Atari controller. You get it right here. And I don't know if you saw, but there's like a new Atari emulator that actually takes the old cartridges for like $120. It makes me wish I had kept my cartridges. Um, I don't have any Atari card. I have a bunch of ColecoVision cartridges, but my Coleco, I left it on overnight and I burnt out the. I don't know if it's either the board or, but I also heard that you could burn out the power supply. So I might try and replace the power supply. And that thing is like, it's huge, and it actually goes into the socket. So it's it's like the biggest power supply for a game console I've ever seen. Yeah, if you join the channel, if there's anything you want to look at, let me know. Mousepad wise or mice. I have almost every release from 2023, uh, at least on the high end. I didn't. I don't think I bought any mice that had less than a 3370, and even only a couple of those. So almost all of the 3395 sensor mice I have, and pad wise, anything that was decent, that looked decent. Uh, I was supposed to have this Prime mouse, but it actually got lost in the mail. They sent it to my old house, and I had my old landlord open it up, but only the Beast X mouse was, and they sent that there too. Even though both of those companies, I gave them the correct new address. But I don't know. Somebody in Austin, Texas, has my Sprime mouse. They probably put it in the wrong box. So now I have to wait for the retail copy, which is supposed to come out. I think they said late December. It looks like an interesting mouse to me, but I don't have it to, so I can't say for sure. I do have the Wise Owl Cloud mouse coming. It's supposed to be on the way. They didn't give me tracking, but um, their headquarters is in California. But I know the mouse is coming from China. And the last time they sent me the this one right here, they sent it on the slow boat, so it probably took a couple weeks. So I'm hoping sometime this week I'll have that, and then also the VXE R1 Dragonfly R1 series, which is like VXE is the same as VGN. It's just a subsidiary of VGN that makes the Dragonfly F1, and it's just a slightly different shape. But there's a there's two non they're like 1K versions, and there's two 4K versions, I believe. And there's two different types of switches, and they're like some switches I never heard of. They're like named after berries or something. I forget who makes them, but it sounds interesting. So I'll probably do a live stream when I get those, because I don't think anybody else will get them before me. I know MetKeys is sending them out to a couple people, but I ordered mine off of AliExpress the day they came out, so all four of them are coming. So I'm sure some reviewers in Asia probably have them or will have them. But as far as North America and Europe, I think I'll have the first R1 mice that I'll be showing off. And initially, I've heard that they're described as the best budget mice on the market currently. So very interested to see that. I'll do like a same that I did with the Dragonfly, where I did all of the mice in one video. I'll do the same thing with the R1 series. Maybe they'll make an R1 MOBA version too. I don't know, like they did with the Dragonfly. What are you all guys playing game wise right now? I mostly play. I'm pretty boring. I just mostly play Overwatch 2. I keep meaning to try the new Counter Strike 2, but I haven't gotten around to it. I have like uh, 2,300 games on Steam. I think I've maybe played like 3% of them. Like mice, I'm more of a collector, I think. The Beast X mouse definitely sounds a lot more clunky when you drop it. Not that I drop my mice very often. I also don't ever have to use the slam clip prevention, because I never raise my mice. Believe it or not, I like use about this much of the mouse pad. That's I use like a ridiculously amount of a low amount of space. I've always I think because as when I was younger and we had ball mice, you had to like really go all over the place and it would make it really tiring. So once I could just barely move it, I've always gotten used to that. What is my main pad? Well, probably my favorite pad is the Neutron pad. I just like the way it feels. I like the way it feels on the skin, and it's like super control. It might even be considered a mud pad, but I like using like glass on it, so it kind of speeds it up, and it feels really amazing. If I had to just pick one pad, that's the one I'd keep. Um, but I have so many pads, and I never wear out a pad because I pretty much every single day I use a different pad. Sometimes I use two or three pads in the same day. Just like mice, I just constantly switch between them. I never stick with one. Unless I'm specifically testing it for review, and then I'll use it for like about 3 or 4 days solid before I switch to another one. Um, I definitely have favorites, and I'll probably do a video on those. Probably I'll do like a top three speed pad, control pad, and mud pads. But the I think it's a QTAR or Quasar Neutron. Yeah, you can get it at Lethal Gaming. I think they also sell it on their site too. They also have a it's like the eighth. I have to look it up, but they have one that's similar to the Saturn Pro. It's an orange pad, um, but you could just get the Saturn. They're very similar. Saturn is probably one of the best overall pads. It's an easy recommendation, um, but I also like the Radon. It's a nice fast pad. The upcoming Neptune pad from Lethal Gaming Gear, that's going to be a speed pad. So it's kind of their Radon like pad. So that one I'm very interested in checking out. Um, I don't always use speed pads, but I like them for certain games. Ones that you do a lot of tracking in. So I think they're going to send out samples at the end of the month. And so I'll definitely be posting about that one soon. Yeah, this is the pad right here. I also like the gray color. There's not a lot of gray pads, and it's probably the most pleasant on your skin of any pad I've ever felt. It uses a static friction, but you can see it's really slow. So you really have to use glass skates with it. If you use long sweeping motions, you might not like it, but I do a lot of just micro adjustments, so it works perfect for me. If you just use a small amount of the pad, I guess it depends on really what how you game. I'm a high sense micro adjustment kind of player, so this works perfect for me. Actually, the ULX feels really nice on this. I might even test it out on this. Also similar to the Saturn is the Raven Mori pad. Um, I've used this one a lot the last couple weeks, mostly because I've been meaning to do a review on this one forever. Um, it's kind of got a fuzzy feel to it, but it's similar to to a Saturn, but I also like the green look of it, and the logo is really cool. Um, but this is a really good pad. Probably spent the most time on this the last, well, since I moved in this place. Um, it's probably the one I spent the most time on recently. And some of that me just because I had stuff packed away. I only had some of my pads out, but it's definitely a high quality pad. The funny thing is too is I've just sometimes gamed just on my desk, and if you have a good surface on your desk, um, you can do okay, which is without a mouse pad. The sensors are so good. If you have a good sensor and it's not your desk isn't reflective, it works pretty decent. They also make I um, before I started reviewing mice, I had this. It was just a really thin film that actually just had a sticker and you just stuck it on your desk, and that thing worked really well. It was super fast and it had just a nice amount of texture, but eventually it like wore off my desk. This new Aqua Control Pro Mid, this is a lot like a Hien with a really nice alpha cell base, and I think it's alpha cell. It looks like it to me. Um, but this is actually a really nice pad, and it's the best X-ray pad that I've used so far. It comes in, I think, also black. And then the last few days, I've been using this the Keychron M4, and a lot of people have said that it's too heavy at 38 grams, but for a small mouse, the way that the weight is, I think it helps stabilize it because it's so small. It's easy to lose control, and aiming wise, for me, this has been one of the best mice I've used. Aiming wise, now sometimes if you make a quick movement, I've lost control of the mouse because it's so small because of my grip. I think I need a little bit of grip tape on the side will help keep it from moving out of my hand. But uh, this is I think was $70, $69 with the 4K dongle. You can get it without for $10 cheaper. It does have a sideways sensor, which doesn't feel weird to me. But and the other nice thing is, yeah, there we go, is that you can control the polling rate and the DPI all from right here. So you don't even need to get into the software um, other to adjust the debounce time initially. But you can switch the polling rate and everything from here, which is really cool when you can do it from from the mouse itself. I'd like to see more mice using that. I'm sure it adds a little bit of weight to it. You know, I'm sure the other competitors don't have that because they want to reduce weight. And these are the first skates that on a Keychron mouse that actually don't suck. They're not great, but they don't suck. They usually use these black PTFE skates. They're not even 100% PTFE. They're just terrible. You can always just buy some nice dot skates and replace them, which is what I recommend. Recommend if you're gonna buy a lot of these Chinese mice, because not all of them are gonna have third party skate support. is just buy a bunch of dot skates. X-Ray Pad makes some really nice ones. I've been enjoying their dot skates, and then of course Esport Tiger makes some really nice skates too, dot skates. I haven't tried those little donut skates that are supposed to be specifically for glass pads. It's supposed to make it really quiet, but I need to get a hold of some of those and test it out. But just to show you guys how far we've come since I started gaming with a mouse, this is a replica of the Tank mouse, a wireless replica. The original had a wire, of course, because they didn't have wireless mice. Um, and even though it doesn't have a scroll wheel, it does have a hidden one, which the original, of course, didn't have that. But this thing was what I first started using on my Commodore Amiga 2000 in like 1980, 89. Yeah. So I had fond memories of this mouse. But so when I bought this replica, it is so uncomfortable. However, I still gained with this mouse, and I was still about 80% as effective with it. It just my hand hurt like a son of a bitch afterwards. It was not ergonomically designed. It was just a tank, you know. So uh, I got this so I could use it with like my Amiga emulator, just so I have the authentic experience. But I mean, this is where we were when I was a teenager, and what we have now, um, kind of a big difference. And so yeah, if you type in the chat if you want to see a particular mouse or a mouse pad, I'm happy to pull it out and show you and talk about it while I'm still on the stream. I'll stick around for a little bit longer, but I'll probably be getting off soon. So if you have any, the M is the M4 worth buying? Well, it depends. If you like fingertip mice, um, yeah, and I would say if you have large hands, no, because everyone that's tried it that has really large hands. Now, I just for example, I have 19 by 10, so I have medium sized hands, I would say, and you kind of have to give it a chance. I honestly hated it the first probably 15, 20 minutes, but after about 3 or 4 matches, I started getting used to it. I like it, and I think for the money at $70 for a 4K mouse. I mean, you get this cute little keyboard dongle. If you get the black version, the keyboard is black also. Um, However, a word of warning: if you get the black one, the black plastic that they use on Keychron mice, I think is the worst feeling plastic that I've felt out of any of my mice. This white though feels really nice. Now I don't know if the black version of the M4 also feels like the other black versions of their earlier mice. Maybe they've improved it because I've complained to them every single time. But I don't think they had a white version available until the M4. Um, so I jumped on the chance of trying a different color, and I don't know if it's just the UV coating, but it feels really nice. It's it's not too slick either, but I think for the money, it's definitely cheaper than other fingertip mice. I think most of those are like around $100. So if you want to try one, it's just narrower. Like I'll show you the other one you have. It's not their newest one, but as you can see, it's quite a bit smaller, especially widthwise. Now, at first, I was like, I was hoping this would be a little bit wider, like this one, but because it's got straight sides. But I started to like how it pinches in like that. I never got used to this mouse or even enjoyed using it. And the side buttons, maybe they've improved on some of their new versions. These are really terrible side buttons. They're really close together, whereas these are a little bit bigger and more spread apart. And the G Wolves ones are more expensive than this, so yeah, I like it if that's what you're looking for, but I don't know if I would want to use this as my only mouse that I had. It's just kind of a fun mouse for when you want to be really good at aiming. But I can only use it for about 3 or 4 matches, and then my hand starts cramping. So it's kind of a mouse you want to bring out when you want to get really serious about your aiming. If you're sniping, it's a really good mouse for that. But overall, I'll probably end up liking the ULX as a more all around type of mouse. I use the Stormbaker a lot. This is my favorite Argo mouse, and I know not everybody agrees with that, but I just like the feel of the magnesium, and this has got like the best clicks for me. So I'm a big fan of that. And the Dare You mouse also, this magnesium version, I like quite a bit also. I still plan on doing a a kind of a roundup of different switches. I've got like about 30 micro switches for mice, and I have a couple hot swap mice. So I might actually do a video where I go over the differences and mostly how they sound and feel. But unfortunately, those are all just going to be mechanical. So I don't know of any hot swap opticals. I don't even know if that's possible, but if that would be cool if it was. The I have actually both of their mice that are hot swap. Let's see. Yeah, right there. I actually have two versions of this. I have it in red also. But yeah, you just my red one opens a little bit easier. This one I have to use like a little little flathead to open it up. The red one I can open it with my fingernail. But yeah, this is to me this is the best hot swap design. You don't have to take the mouse apart to get to it. It's actually not a bad mouse too. It I think it's a little underrated, and it was being sold like on MetKeys for way too much money. I think it was like $150, but you can. I think I've seen this as low as $80. So if you want one just to play around with switches, it's definitely a good deal. The mouse feet are kind of weird, how they're positioned, but at least they gave some decent mouse feet compared to the previous version, which I have somewhere. This right here, which was their first hot swap, and you can see I didn't have feet on the hot swap whatever those are, drawers. Now, this mouse actually, I like the shape on it, but it does creak quite a bit. And this one does have a 4K dongle with it also, so um, it's actually pretty nice in 4K. Eh. One of the other mice that really didn't get any attention, and for a couple different reasons, it's this is like called the sleeper, and it's got holes on the side, which is I don't really think they should have done that. That's my probably the biggest criticism, and they use a 3370. But the shape of the mouse, um, it's I don't have a mouse that's like this. Um, it really fits my hand perfectly. Uh, you can get this on Amazon. I think it's like $60 or $70. It probably should be more like $50 because of this the sensor it has. But if they actually updated this with like 4K and a 3390 and put solid sides, I would definitely main this mouse because I love the shape of this mouse. Um, and yeah, a lot of people are sleeping on it. I think Adapt Aim reviewed this recently, but I've had this for like 5 or 6 months, and this is an awesome shape to me. And again, hardly anybody's talked about this mouse. I have a lot of mice that um, there's not reviews on or very few reviews on, and I intended to review them this year, but just I was going through divorce and all kinds of crazy stuff, so I did not have the time or the mental capacity to be able to do all that this year. So unfortunately, I have a bunch of stuff that I didn't get to share with people. But if anybody wants to check this stuff out on stream, I'll probably do a couple more of these just so they can get a little bit of exposure. I have some pads too that probably went under the radar also. Like I wanted to do a video on this HP mouse. It actually has a 3395 sensor, and I think it's like around 55 grams, and you can get it for like $30. It's There's nothing special about it, but it's crazy that it's an HP mouse. If you bought like an HP computer and this was in the box, which is normally well, e-waste peripherals, um, you could definitely do a lot worse than using this mouse. It's definitely a decent mouse that probably should be selling for, 60 $70. Um, it's a 1K polling rate mouse. Uh, Nothing fancy, but just a surprising mouse from HP. I don't know why they made it, but maybe they're selling it in their game combos or something. I don't know, but um, hopefully we'll see more mice from big companies like that don't suck, because a lot of the mice that these computers they come with, they go right into the landfill or the e-cycle. I try and e-cycle them at work, and because a lot of the times I'll ask the user when I set up a new computer for them if they want their peripherals, and most of the time they're like, "No, I got my own mouse or I got my own keyboard," and then I have piles and piles of these mice, and eventually I just put them in the e-cycle because nobody ever uses them because they suck. And this isn't great, but it doesn't suck. Uh, And sensor wise and performance wise, it actually works pretty decent. And there's actually drivers for it too. I also have the Attack Shark X6 coming. That should be here any day. There's nothing special about it. It's just a like 30 something dollar mouse. A lot of people like the X3, and it was decent. Other than both copies that I have, the skates fell off within a couple days. So they used skates that had poor adhesive, so you had to end up putting dot skates on there because there's no third party skates for it. Other than if you buy the M600, which is made by the same, it's a different company, Kersa or something like that. Um, they have some glass skates in there that you can throw on there. But they're like $60 or $70 on Amazon, and it's not really worth it at that price. But it's a nice shape. Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, things are better now. I got my life situated. I got a new place. I set up a new place to film. It's much bigger. Um, so I'm gonna start making content actually this weekend. So um, yeah, th- looking forward to next year. I got lots of cool stuff lined up, and if things work out right, I may be able to branch out into other things besides peripherals, which has always been my goal. Um, which is when I started doing reviews in the '90s. I did more general hardware, specifically 3D cards and motherboards and CPUs and things like that. Occasionally some games, but I don't know. I don't really have time to put the amount of time it takes to review a game anymore. The Ponage Precision Pad. Yes. It's basically just a Hien clone. I have a couple of them. Um, if it's the one I'm thinking of, let me let me look real quick. I still have a couple pads that they sent. They sent me like three pads. They were all the same, just different colors. Yeah, yeah, that's the pad that I have. Yeah, it's just a Hien clone. Um, if you it's $9 right now. I mean, that's actually kind of a steal. It's not a very big pad. I think it's like let's see what it says. I seem to remember it wasn't too big. It might be like yeah, it's 400, 460 by 400. So it's not a huge pad, but for $9, I mean that's hard to beat for a Hin clone. Uh, I know they're actually working on some higher end pad at some point. I spoke to them back in the fall, and they kind of told me about some of their plans. So I know what new mouse they're working on. I can't exactly say what shape it is, but I think a lot of people are really going to like it. And another magnesium mouse. Um, and then I know that they're working on some sort of mouse pad, probably one with Poron or something. I'm sure it'll probably be a decent pad, just like everything else out there. But that precision pad, for if you can get it on sale, because I saw it for $9, that's definitely a good deal. if you want a faster hybrid type of pad, you could definitely do worse. Um, there was some reviews on Amazon that they would fray, um, but that wasn't my experience. I used a couple of them um, for a few weeks, and I didn't see any kind of deterioration on them. So I think that was like there was only like 5 reviews, and there was like one person posting that. So I think they just got a bad pad. But it just has a standard rubber base or anything. I mean, it's nothing special. But for $9, uh, it's hard to beat. Um, you can get an IKEA pad if you have one near you. There's only a couple. I think they're like $12, but that's a little bit more of a controlled type pad. And then Fantech also makes um, a pad around $9. Like if you're looking for something really cheap like that, um, I think it's called the Agile pad. It does have a coating and it will wear out after about 6 months, but it's $9. Yeah, and is it worth buying over an artisan pad for the Ponage one? I mean, the artisan pad's a little bit better. You can have a better base, but it just depends on how much the artisan pad's going to cost you. Um, at $9, you could buy probably 5 of them for the price of that one pad. So surface wise, it's almost identical. The it'll feel a little bit different because the pour on base on the artisan pad, which is a little nicer, but I don't know if money is a concern, um, then yeah, I would probably just go with the ponage pad. But if you don't care about money, then I wouldn't bother with the ponage pad if you got money to spend. There's a lot of other nicer pads. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't use any one pad for long periods of time. The construction of it feels solid to me, so I mean, if I'd probably say it's gonna last you probably at least a year, unless you go really. It also depends on if you're the kind of person that presses into your pad really hard. Those type of users that use all large areas of the pad and they press into it hard, you'll definitely wear out pads much faster than someone like me. I don't push any weight on pads. I never press into it. I just use micro adjustments. So I'm really light on my pads and I don't wear them out. To this day I have not worn out a single one of these pads. Before I started reviewing, I think I've worn out 2 pads, and it probably took me an average of like 8 years to wear those pads out. So I don't know how tough you are on pads. But if you are, maybe buy 2 then at that because that's a good price. Um, my guess, I think they're trying to get rid of that stock because, like I said, I know they have a new pad probably coming out next year. Oh yeah, there are alternatives for artisan now. 2 years ago there wasn't really any, but there are so many artisan type pads, even on AliExpress. Now a lot of them are using like a Chinese version of Poron, and while it's not exactly the same, some of the new versions of that are really good. I mean, it's really just a trademark on the name. They can't call it porn. I forget the actual technical name, but all those type of bases are for the most part pretty good. Some of them have some inconsistencies. They're not all great, but there's been a couple like the Pure Track P51. The first version had a few inconsistencies, and then they re-released it uh, with a version 2 that fixed a lot of those. Same with the Alpha Cell. The very first version wasn't that great, but the second version of the Alpha Cell, and I think there's been a third version too, are much better. So uh, the Chinese and Taiwan versions of that type of surface have gotten a lot better, and the stitching quality on all of these pads is is really good. And you can hear this how this it's like it's like stuck. Yeah, there it's really hard to to mess up buying a good pad. Mostly it's about the surface, I would say now. The base and the stitching on most pads are really good. You know, I always prefer one that the level of the pad is above the stitching. So when you go towards the edge, it doesn't stop your motion. Some people like that because they know where the edge is, but uh, I don't ever go typically near the edge. But it just feels better on your arm when you're rubbing it that you're not hitting the the stitching. So most of them have below the pad's surface level stitching now, good bases. So it's really just like finding the surface that you like. And I recommend getting a couple different types of surfaces at different speeds so you can match it to whatever game you're playing. Because some games, certain pads are going to work better than others. And if you kind of switch it up every so often, you'll wear them out evenly. No problem. I'll be right back and get something to drink. All right. Is anybody else want to see a particular pad or mouse that's come out in 2023 before I end the stream? Or if you have any suggestions for different reviews or contents, I'm always up for suggestions, feedback, whatever. Make sure you check my Twitter feed because I'm also going to be doing at least one, maybe two giveaways, and I think one of them I'm going to do like just a whole pile to one person. I'll probably do that one on Christmas. All right. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by. Enjoyed the stream, and like I said, I will be probably doing another stream on the VXC Dragonfly R1 series in a couple days when they show up. I think I'll probably have the first preview of those mice in North America. I don't know of anybody else who's getting them right away. But anyways, definitely check back for that because I think those are going to be some banger mice. And again, check my feed for some upcoming contests, and I will try and post a review or two in the next couple days. So definitely check back on Twitter for that or on my YouTube channel. But thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one.